This podcast is supported by patrons. You can find a full list of them in the description of this episode. Hello, listeners of Good Morning BSS World podcast. This is Wiktor, Doktor, and we have another episode with a story from the GBS and BPO world. I was recently visiting Georgia, where I had an opportunity to meet some of companies who are representing the BPO environment over there. And after this visit, I think it's quite a good idea to come back to Georgia and have a little bit deeper discussions about Georgian BPO market and Georgian BPO companies. So today I have for you a very interesting talk with Sergo Baramia, who is the CEO and managing partner at Evolvexe Group. Hi Sergo, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. Thanks for the possibility of being here.
Thank you very much for accepting my invitation, and also thanks very much for very interesting presentation, which I had an opportunity to see being in TBDC those few weeks ago. It was absolutely a very nice experience to get familiar about how the BPO industry is growing within Georgia and in TBDC as the capital of this country. So let's maybe go a little bit into this discussion and share with us your feelings, your subjective point of view about the BPO environment in Georgia.
Sure. So, first of all, BPO sector is one of the biggest ones, I suppose, right now in Georgia, and used to be at least the fastest growing one at some point. There are some major players who have been using the Georgian market for the BPO industry for quite a while already. One of the first ones which entered the market used to be Arvato Bertelsmann back then. They did their branding and became major afterwards, and then afterwards they were bought by Teleperformance basically. And this is the one of the biggest players which entered the market and have been using it and utilizing it very actively. Then others also joined. I may be doing some mistakes, so if there is anything, I apologize for it. But that's how I'm seeing it, and that's the experience what I have about it. So there are a lot of big players and big companies which are using the Georgian market because there are some really nice opportunities for it. People are learning foreign languages daily because it's very popular and very common in Georgia to study abroad. And one of the favorite destinations is also Germany, which is a really big market for the BPO companies, the BPO sectors. And so it was noticed that people tend to learn there, study there, then come back to Georgia, are looking for the jobs. And this BPO market kind of filled this opportunity for them to get the really nice job with some really nice salary, and at the same time be really profitable for the company which is providing it.
Perfect. And I fully agree because this visit where I had the pleasure to attend was actually showing that the international brands are, first of all, some of them are already present in Georgia, and the others are being interested in the area, the environment of how it might be good for their future business. But you are representing a local BPO organization.
Yep, absolutely. We are something new which appeared in Georgia recently because we are saying that we are, and we really believe in it, that we are first full scope BPO company in Georgia, which provides different types of services. And this profile is also growing day by day. I have had a meeting with several guys who want to do the same, who are doing the same in a bit different way. But generally, we decided that, it's a great environment and a lot of big players are using it for their opportunities. Why don't we want to do it ourselves? It's basically our country. We like to be here. We know the people. We know how the business works here. So we decided to start it on our own as well.
So this podcast is actually to make a deeper discussion about the BPO providers, the BPO environment globally. So today we are putting you in the focus on the discussion. So you said that you are quite young in the market. So when everything started, when your company started its activities?
So basically, our company exists for quite a long period. However, the profile was different. I mean, me and partners, and basically the partners were doing more into direction of consulting. and that was the first direction which the company was existing in. And it was like 3 years ago where I moved from all my other jobs basically full time here, and we fully focused on the BPO sector, mainly on customer support. However, yeah, we are providing, as I said, full outsourcing services, and we are also doing consulting, however, only in the customer service field.
So everything started longer time ago, but 3 years within this business where you are present at the moment. You mentioned CX and wider BPO scope. So let's maybe focus on this wider BPO scope. So what are the types of the services which you are providing on a daily basis?
So basically, what we noticed is that there are different types of needs for different companies. Yeah, the customer service field is one of the biggest and largest ones, and this is, as I said, our main focus because we really want to be really good at something which most of the companies need. However, there are some opportunities which some companies need, and they do not know how to fill them. I'm talking about, for example, back office operations for ticketing, opening tickets, closing tickets, some additional tasks as, for example, LinkedIn marketing or social media management, which, yeah, people are usually doing on their own or hiring someone. However, we provide those services as well. We also do the content moderation, for example, which is also a really active field right now, globally as well. We do not have any active clients in this field right now. However, we used to work for one of the biggest companies in Georgia for quite a while, and then we stopped for a while, but are discussing the future collaboration possibility again right now because they changed some processes and so on. But basically, yeah, there are a lot of different directions which can be covered. One important thing is, for example, also verification tools, which are quite active, and there are some big companies, and we have really good partners in Georgia who provide those services, and they also need the people, for example, which will be helping the tool to make it work. So the person who will go through the process, verify the person, double check everything, and send it to back office. So it's mainly some local operations which can be outsourced as well, and people just had no idea about it.
So we already know the scope. So now let's focus on the other hand. So who is using this kind of services? Are you focused on Georgian market or international market? And doesn't matter if it's local or international. What kind of industries usually you work with?
Got it. So basically, the idea was that first of all, we wanted that people know about us. So we started with local companies, with a local client base. I will be open. It didn't work out as well as we hoped. However, we had the idea that it would be quite difficult to get the clients inside of Georgia because of the pricing range. The most attractive part about the Georgia is and the services to being outsourced here from here is the price efficiency, because we and generally in Georgia, people provide some top service with an exceptional price in comparison to the service. Yes, there are some countries which could be doing even cheaper theoretically, and as I know from my experience, however, the comparison with the service level plus the finances, it's quite nice here. But for us, the biggest problem was with the local companies is that whenever we provide the offer to them, we do not make such a big difference in pricing. Yeah, because what's the common mistake usually with the outsourcing field in general, because it's something new in Georgia as well. Nobody ever provided or even offered such thing. Yeah, they tried with some big companies. However, the pricing was spectacular in terms of it was too high, and they never even considered it. Our pricing is much better for the local companies. However, it's still higher than the salaries which they are providing to their people. And when the person is calculating the salary, like, I pay someone 1,000 USD, and this outsourcing offers me the same for 1,200 USD. There's $200 difference. It's higher for me. It's not cost efficient. Let's not do it. because, as I said, in Georgia, especially, there was no such business as outsourcing before. It's not common, and all of the companies have most of their activities in house, which is, it was built by them. There are a lot of layers. They put a lot of effort, so it's kind of hard to get into the big companies. For the smaller companies, outsourcing in general is not so interesting because they prefer to do it themselves. So it's kind of this dilemma, so to say, here. Uh, and that was a reason why we focused more on the international clients, and that was our main thing to find. The idea is that in the first years it was really hard because when you don't have portfolio, it's tough to get the clients. There is a trust issue. There is, yeah, they do not know if you can provide. Yeah, you can tell them whatever and say that everything will be perfect. However, if you do not show that you are able to do it and you are able to provide, it's really tough to them to just believe you by word, so to say. So it was tough in the first years. However, we found some clients who trust us, and we really appreciate this trust. It was basically the reason why we started this actively and shifted our full power here. Uh, One of the biggest markets which we started with because it was the easiest to get in was the iGaming industry, because it's one of the biggest and most growing ones right now. And there's a lot of happening, and there are a lot of opportunities there. And we found that the service which we are providing is really cost efficient for them. It's additional headache for them to do it on their own because they need to focus on actual strategies, on the operations, on the inside, and the customer service is the field which they are eagerly giving to us. So this was the first thing which we mainly focused, attending all the possible summits, all the possible events, and we found some clients there, and it was basically our first steps into this direction. Afterwards, our main focus basically the big industries and big companies, which cannot put much effort to their customer service, for example, or some direction which is not their main one. Yeah, because let's say there's a company which is selling tickets. I don't know. Their main business is selling tickets. They're focusing on advertising, marketing, how to do it, what to do it. And there's another field which is customer service for these tickets. Like, I couldn't buy it, there was a payment problem, payment issue, and so on and so on. Our idea is that we are good at it, and let us do it, because we are doing, and we will show you that we will do it much much better than if you try to build it up. There will be attrition, there will be people who do not want to do it, there will be people who do not know how to do it because of the processes, and we will be the filling those things very well, in our opinion.
Thank you very much for this. So I understand from that main focus is on international markets with cost effectiveness, which stands behind that. So if we are talking about the international market, are there any, let's say, geographical areas which you are focusing on, like for example Europe, States, or many or other locations?
Not really. We are not limited at all. We have had clients all over the world right now. Even though we are quite small, we covered pretty much everything. I mean, not everything, obviously, but geographically, because we used to work for a client for the Latin America, Brazil, Argentina. Uh, we used to work for the client who and still are working for the client who fully focuses on the Indian market. We have been working with a client who is focusing Nigerian market. So we are basically free to go wherever it's possible. However, we also, of course, we are choosing the clients precisely because we do not want to lose our reputation or being involved in any business which, yeah, is unclear for us or is not regulated properly. So we are really precise about that. But generally, we are open to anything.
Sure. And now another question. If we talk about the international space. So when you work with different regions, like you mentioned here, Latam region, India, Nigeria, the question which I always have in my mind is, okay, how about languages then? Because I can understand that there are international businesses where English is the one where we communicate, we provide services, and so on and so on. But sometimes the clients especially in the outsourcing industry, they do require the support being provided in their mother tongues. So, do you also provide the services in other languages than English?
We do. Absolutely. We are not limited and are actively providing the service even right now for, I think, 8 different languages, if I'm not mistaken. So Georgia always used to be one of the most international countries and international cities, especially in the region. Sorry. And basically, there are a lot of people living here. There are a lot of foreigners as well. And as I said, there are a lot of people who are willing to study abroad and are learning specific languages. If we say how many people are efficient in different types of languages, the English is the first one, obviously. English and Russian, because there was a lot of influence of our neighbors and Soviet Union and so on. And in the region, there are still people, not in the young generation, however, in the old generation, a lot of people are speaking Russian properly. Then comes German, for sure, with the highest amount. And there are also coming other languages, like, for example, Spanish, Italian, French, which are also quite popular because, people want to live there as well. For the markets which I mentioned, because I mentioned like quite exotic ones right now, we found for the Indian market, there are a lot of Indians who are studying in Georgia, in Tbilisi. Maybe you have not noticed it because it's the quite nice opportunity for them. It's a nice country. It's easy to get here in terms of visa and stuff. So there are a lot of Indians who are working here, who are studying here, and who are willing to work. And that was our idea to hire them for this project. And we have not only perfect in the language, but it's mother tongue for them. So for that market, we are fully covered. For the Nigerian, the same story, because there are a lot of Nigerians who are working and who are studying in Georgia and are willing to work. And our most of our models are work from home. This is also quite nice approach because when we were working for the bigger companies, our management team, it was a nice timing with the COVID in terms of being able to shift to work from home. And this is a strategy which we are actively using, and it's quite popular because it also boosts the cost efficiency, and it's also really attractive for people because they do not need to go to traffic to, I don't know, to eat out somewhere, which is an additional cost. And they really love working with us in terms of if it's a work from home project, because this is an additional motivation boost for them, so to say.
So you started already talking about people, and this is something what I want to also a little bit focus a little bit deeper. So when I was in Georgia those few weeks ago, I received information that there is more or less 22% of unemployment rate when it comes to the market. So the question for now, which I have for you, is how long does it take to actually hire proper people? So once you already have a client and you need to recruit some additional staff, how long it usually takes?
It absolutely depends on the requirements. So the language knowledge, how high it should be, and if there are some additional skills which needed to be. And it absolutely depends on the salary range which we're offering. Because as you mentioned, the unemployment rate is still quite high. So if you see that you can offer something which is higher than the current salary on the market, there will be a lot of people jumping into you, and then you just need to filter them out, so to say. We usually say 1 to 2 months for the bigger projects. This is like the timeline which we are usually giving out. However, there was a recruitment which went much much faster as well, and it was a really high level. But the idea, we are explaining to the client as well. Yeah, it depends on the salary range, depends on the pricing which we are offering to the client. Because if we are offering higher pricing and explaining that you see we will need to provide these bonuses, we need to provide this type of salary range. If you agree on this, it will be done much much faster.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe the last but not least question from the area of people. So when we are talking that there is a cost efficiency in a certain country, that the salaries are sometimes low, sometimes high, those are like a general descriptions. But maybe like for our audience, it would be good to give like a certain example. So, what is an average cost of customer services in the outsourcing industry in Georgia when it comes to, let's say, people who are middle experience, so not the very juniors, not the very seniors, but let's say the middle ones?
So basically, the salary range for the most basic, both basic language, for example, English or English Russian or English Georgian support, for us, we try to offer like relatively higher salaries because we want to be good positioned. It's somewhere around 500 euros. I mean, higher than 500 euros for us, which we are. It is the least salary which we are offering, and it's for the simplest tasks, so to say. For example, if it's only chat support or if it's only written communication, yeah, this is the idea which we are going with. For the more advanced ones, it goes up to, let's say, 1200 euros, 1300 euros, which is a really nice salary in Georgia.
And those
Because
are, of course, the monthly salaries.
yes, those are monthly salaries, of course. Taxation rate is not so high in Georgia; it's 20%. So it's a really nice opportunity for people, and they really love working with us because of, yeah, as I said. And for the lower salaries, as I mentioned, like the basic one, most of the project, or currently all the projects which we're offering that salary, it's work from home. So there's no additional cost, which is the most problematic one. And the idea is that the market in Georgia is not regulated properly, kinda right now. And there are a lot of jobs which are offering some, I don't know, in my opinion, not realistic salaries, and they're still getting the people. We are trying to fight with it how we can. However, generally, yeah, the situation is not so good. So if people look for the job and they find our offer, they really like it, they really try to stay. For example, that's the reason why our attrition rate, even on the smaller projects, is not so high, because it's really comfortable.
And what's this attrition rate then?
Right now, uh, among all the projects, we have 10% for the last year.
Very nice. So this is what we experienced, that on the, let's say, emerging markets, the attrition rate on the level more or less 10%. This is like a really good level, to be honest, because the markets are usually quite dynamic in their growth, already showing this what they can offer, and so on and so on. But 10%, it's quite impressive, to be honest, to have on such a level. Okay, Sergo, did we miss anything from your business, or we have covered most of the interesting, let's say, tastes?
I think we covered most of it. As I said, the biggest part is the cost efficiency, because we believe, and we can prove it, that we can offer our services around 30% lower price than what our concurrents, the bigger players, are offering. And I can guarantee that the effort which we are putting into our services is enormous. And we got one very big client which we can openly discuss, because we are very proud of it, and they openly discussing it also, is ASUS. We are providing services for the ASUS Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, fully from here with the local staff. I'm also right now relocated into another city in Georgia, because we decided to open this site here, away from the Tbilisi, from the capital. And I'm currently also here and covering and supporting the local operations. And this is like basically the biggest point for us right now, because it's the biggest client, it's top brand in the industry, and we are really doing our best to provide like the premium service which they are offering and they used to offer to their clients during all this time.
So the second city is what, Kutaisi or Batumi
Kutaisi.
or somewhere
Yes,
else?
yes,
Kutaisi.
yes, Kutaisi.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to work here before, when I used to work for the major role back then. I used to be regional operations manager here, and it's a really nice city. It's even cheaper in terms of some costs. So inside of Georgia, it's also kind of dependent on the city which you are offering services from.
I believe, Sergo, that this is something what can be fit to any country. That usually the capitals are those which are the most expensive, and the regions where you go with your operations usually have extra benefits when it comes to cost, logistics, whatever we can mention. Okay, so the last but not least, if somebody wanted to get more information about you or about your company or about your services, just to get more familiar with what can be the BPO offer directly from Georgia, where would you direct such person?
So our website is on. We are active on the LinkedIn. Our website is evolvexe.com straight away. And we are active on social media, on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So you can directly write us. You can directly write me, because I'm really actively involved in the operations, and me and my partners as well. So we are discussing any opportunity which can be offered, and we are open to have a call meeting, in person, whatever. We are up to it. We will discuss it, and we will do our best to fit the expectations.
Thank you very much then for this. So I will make sure to put all of those links to the description of today's our talk, so it will make people easier to find you, to get to you. Thank you very much, and keeping fingers crossed for the growth of the BPO in Tbilisi or in Kutaisi or in Georgia in general.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the help, and yeah, thanks for being here once again.